BBS. BBS. Blackbird Sugar, Bachelor's in Boxing Studies. Television! Fred Sanford of the Fistic Arts. When all is said and done, there's nothing left to say or do.
REED-BBS. BBS. Riyadh season. The first American show from His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. And what a night, hell, what a day, what an event it was. So let's get into that shit. From the bottom to the top to the bottom. Andy Cruz versus Antonio Morrell. It's always kind of weird seeing one of those midday fights, sparse crowd and shit, motherfuckers having brunch, drinking mimosas, and oh, there's a fucking boxing match right there. But I digress. Cruz, he's already 28 years old. Of course, he's a former Olympian, 2020 gold medalist. I criticized him pre-fight for being less than fan-friendly. So it was good to see Cruz planting his feet and being more offensive-minded than in previous bouts. Now, he was piecing up Morrell throughout, then a counter left high to the head. It stung Cruz in the fifth. But he responded and he stopped Morrell on his feet in the seventh round. Morrell, he's a decent feather to have in the cap. You know, you 4-0, 2 KOs, Andy Cruz. Morrell ain't bad. He has L's to Jose Pedraza and Arnold Barboza Jr., Jermaine Ortiz, and of course the L to Devin Haney, who was the only other man to stop Morrell, also in the seventh round, as Cruz did, FYI. Yeah, so it's a good feather to have, you know, 4 fights in. Want to see more. You got to question the power of Cruz, even with the stoppage. You stopped my man on his feet. Hell, even Dev was able to drop him, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was Dev's best KO. Cruz, he name-dropped Shakur in his post-fight interview, which would be a terrible, in my Charles Barkley voice, a terrible idea. Shakur versus Andy Cruz, you're talking potentially the least fan-friendly fight ever. Ever. If Shakur and Andy Cruz ever met. Or maybe, just maybe, their collective lack of power. Maybe that would embolden both of those men to take a few more risks than they normally would. I don't know. I don't want to see it, though. I'm going to talk about the next 2 fights in unison as a tandem. Jared Anderson versus Martin Bakole, and Andy Ruiz versus Chunky Gerald Miller. The Big Baby saga continues, huh? Now, I felt for sure that Jared Anderson was the real Big Baby, the better of the Big Babies. But we might need to revisit that, man. Big Baby Anderson looked and seemed to be too athletic, too mobile, too agile, too hostile, too fast of hand and foot for Bakole. Until the end of the very first round, that is, when Bakole dropped his ass with a perfectly timed uppercut. And he dropped Anderson 2 more times in the 5th round, en route to a painfully and shockingly easy KO win. It was like, damn, really? Like this? You gonna lose like this? And it's hard to tell where Big Baby Anderson goes from here, man. A one-sided loss in a fight that Top Rank wasn't crazy about him taking in the first fucking place. Now, Big Baby, he's spoken openly about getting out of the game sooner rather than later. And he was saying, whether I win a title or not, man, I'm just really wanting to get some money and get out. He was saying this well before he had faced any adversity as a pro. Before the Charles Martin fight and before this. In the immediate aftermath of this loss, he was kind of nonchalant, almost dismissive. He did say, hey, I got to listen to my trainers and blah, blah, blah. Really didn't speak on a rematch or how soon he'd be back in the ring, instead choosing to focus on his new daughter. Hashtag girl dad. I mean, I can respect the shit out of that. And we all take and absorb L's a little differently, so I don't want to judge or misjudge his reaction right there in public and shit to his first L. But I do wonder, and you have to wonder, if Martin Bakole took the fight took the heart out of Jared Big Baby Anderson? And that's a fair question. On that third knockdown, you could see him on one knee, bottom lip bloody and shit. My man was contemplating his boxing life right in that moment. Now, he got up and he took some more shots to get the fight rightfully stopped on his feet. But yeah, man, that I don't know, man. I don't know where we go. Perhaps an all Big Baby affair that could get Anderson on track. Maybe, you know, some Big Baby on Big Baby crime. Maybe. Jared Anderson versus Chunky Gerald Miller, coming on the heels of Big Baby Miller's draw with bad-built Andy Ruiz. Now, through about 3 3/4 rounds, Andy Ruiz was in control. He was landing the cleaner, more effective shots. Chunky Gerald finally got his attention, though, towards the very end of the fourth. And to his credit, Big Baby Miller, Chunky Gerald Miller, spent the vast majority of the remainder of the fight forcing Ruiz on his back foot, where Andy Ruiz is virtually useless on his fucking back foot. Now, it's patently clear, and it's safe to say, we've already seen the best of Andy Ruiz, y'all. We've seen the best of Andy Ruiz. First Mexican heavyweight champion ever. That's to be applauded. That's an achievement that can never be taken away from my man. But sadly, his peak and that peak moment was followed by an epic decline. Ruiz coming in at 280 plus. He beats Joshua for the title, making history. Then you come in at 280 plus for the rematch with Joshua. And since then, he had been pricing himself, Ruiz that is, had been pricing himself out of high-profile bouts with Deontay Wilder and others. Like, come on, man, fighters fight. You know, he could have been done to Wilder what's been done to him by Jalay Big Bang Jean. He could have done that. Who knows? Ruiz had his moment. He cashed in a bit, but he didn't come close to maximizing that moment for all it was truly worth. And now, to me, it's too late. I mean, hell, you had a pro-Mexican crowd booing the decision. When it was ruled a draw, they were booing. Chunky Gerald Miller won them over in Ruiz's home state, no less. So like I said, give me some Big Baby versus Big Baby next. I'd like to see that. As for Andy Ruiz, his only option is a Chunky Gerald rematch. That's really the only fight for him. It was a star-studded night, is what I'm trying to say. A star-studded night, a lengthy night of boxing, night of upsets. The biggest winner of all, to me, was His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh. Arguably the best thing to happen to the sport of boxing since the advent of the mouthpiece. Moving on to the other fights, we had David Morrell versus Radivajo Kalajdzik, is I think how his last name was pronounced, for the interim WBA light heavyweight title. Morrell, he's a load-up king. That motherfucker loads up on everything. I ain't seen a fighter load up that much since Clubber Lang in fucking Rocky 3 and shit. And I said pre-fight that I didn't necessarily rate Morrell because I'd yet to have seen an opponent dare to hit him back. And for about 7-8 rounds, it was a typical David Morrell fight. One-way traffic. Morrell stalking my man like a serial killer in a horror flick. Now, Kalajdzik, he did manage to hit Morrell back a time or three. And to his credit, Morrell wasn't the least bit deterred. That said, he wasn't terribly impressive either. There's no subtlety to Morrell's game. Not yet. Not at the level that he's fought the opponents, the opposition he's facing. No plan B. He was okay in his light heavyweight debut. Similar to how David Benavidez was just okay. But at least Benavidez was okay against a former world champion. You know what I'm saying? I'll do a deep dive on this very topic later in the week. But let's just say I think it's time for Benavidez and Morrell. Sooner rather than later. Both men waiting around, hoping for Canelo, hoping for the better BF Vivo winner. They need to go on and face each other. The winner of Benavidez Morrell bout is a force that can't be denied by a Canelo or the better BF Vivo winner. He would have to be seen. Whoever won that would have to be seen.